Charles Krauthammer is a Fox News contributor and syndicated columnist, and with me now. Charles, how good would it be for Senator Cruz to do that tonight?
Well, I think he wants to follow the Reagan footsteps. It's one of the classic scripts in American political history. The runner-up, very popular with the base, comes in sort of unexpectedly, delivers a speech of his night, and graciously then endorses the guy who beat him, knowing that they were likely to lose. They did lose. It's a close race, but they did lose, and that he would be the heir, which he was. In 1980, he was the front runner, and he kept it, and the rest we know is history. Cruz sees himself as that kind of man. Therefore, I think, even though we hear this is a matter of character, this is a matter of promises, this is a matter of political calculation, cold and raw. Cruz made a cold and raw political calculation at the beginning. First 6 months, don't attack Trump, deflect when everybody else was decrying the denunciation of Mexicans, Chinese, and the McCain remarks and all that. He refused to comment. So he thought he'll ride the Trump train, or actually a more accurate metaphor is he was drafting behind the Trump car on the racetrack. And then when it came down to a few, it was one-on-one, and they dog-eat-dog, and he took a lot of insults and blows, particularly for his wife. And that's a point where I think it did get personal. But Cruz
and his father, his father
as involved in the Kennedy assassination. That is a little bit far out there. That's Twilight Zone.
That really got to him, you could tell, and his supporters.
It got to everybody, because that is, you know, a little bit out there, way out there. So now he's got to decide. I suspect, I have no inside information, but I've been watching Cruz. I think a lot of people understand him. If his calculations are sort of as astute as I think they are, and remember, he's a freshman, came out of nowhere. He's the runner-up in a nomination. He had no business getting this far. I think he's looking to 2020. He's going to give the speech of his life, and it'll be about conservatism and beliefs and implicit criticism of Trump, perhaps. But he's got to end it with an endorsement and a call to arms to beat Hillary. That's the script. I wonder whether he'll follow it. As you know, the real script, the one he's written, has not been read by the Trump people.
Right.
It could be a decoy. That's what I would do. Write a phony script and then you make it up. But I think that's the path he's got to follow.
So the risk to Ted Cruz in endorsing Donald Trump is that, as we saw with the plane flyover, a lot of Ted Cruz supporters still do not like Donald Trump. They don't believe he's a conservative, and they don't want Ted Cruz throwing in behind him. Although tonight we're hearing that the Texas delegation wants him to endorse him tonight, to endorse Trump tonight. And in Ted Cruz's bruising battle with Donald Trump in the primary, he called Donald Trump a pathological liar, called him utterly amoral, called him a bully, called him a fraud, called him a cavern of insecurity. And that was just for starters. So I know that it's always difficult in the primaries. They always throw some punches, but that was extraordinary. So does he lose some credibility at all if he endorses?
I really think not. We have very short memories in American political history. We have had runner-ups who've said something like that. I think this year probably the level of the personal vitriol was a little bit higher than normal, but this is not off the charts. And they all reconcile. They all say, well, in the heat of the battle, you get Obama and Hillary in 2008. Then all of a sudden they're chums. You get Johnson and Kennedy, 1960. This goes back a very long way. So forgetting is very easy. We have even shorter attention span in the age of social media and television. Nobody remembers yesterday. So I think that can easily, I think Cruz will have no trouble placating his supporters. Placating his enemies is something different, and that's the more important job. He'll always have his supporters. He's not going to lose them. He needs to convert people who are pro-Trump, and should Trump lose, who will be looking for a leader.
I would love to know what happened in that phone call between the two of them, because I'll bet Trump was his charming Trump. You know, he can be his aggressive, sort of punching everybody Trump, but he can also be very charming. And I'd love to know how he did it with Ted Cruz. We'll find out at the end of that speech, perhaps.
But above all, we have two champion political calculators. They're looking out for themselves, and here their interests coincide.
Charles, great to see you.
My pleasure.
When we were talking before about all the terrible things Ted Cruz had said about Donald Trump, you were in a similar boat where Trump was not nice to you either. But you forgave. I mean, how did you get past that? Because he really did savage you, but you've become a full-throated supporter.
Well, because it's not about me. If it was about me, I would never be able to get over it. But this is about our country. This is about what happens to our children and our grandchildren. This is about whether we become a country that is up for and by the government versus a country that is up for and by the people. That's way bigger than any individual.